Recording is on. It is all yours. I am muted.
Okay. Good evening, ladies, and welcome to Destination Director from all the way from Carson City, Nevada. I am over here in helping FEMA set up a call center for the Harvey hurricane victims, which now has become Harvey and Irma and Maria. So I think they'll be servicing all those areas. We have about 700 people answering calls here now. We stood it up within the last 3 weeks. It's been an amazing operation to watch. But anyways, we're not here for that. I am operating off of my phone in my hotel, so I apologize if there's any poor quality with regards to the video or audio. All right, so let's get started. The topic today is time management. I know that is a topic that just thrills the dickens out of everybody. I am following some very good speakers, Jill on social media, Magali on sponsoring, Jenna on parties, and Tiffany on follow-up. So all of those are a hard act to follow. It's been a while since I've done any type of presentation or speaking, so just bear with me. If I sound like I am all over the map, it's because I am. All right, so let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I'm going to present, then I'm going to present it, and then I'm going to tell you what I presented. That's just a method that I found tried and true to impart information and for people to retain it. So hopefully you were able to look at that video that I posted on Facebook with regards to Zig Ziglar's Born to Win. That's not the whole video. It was just a 3-minute snippet of his 1 hour, I think, and 15-minute video. If you want to watch it, it'd be well worth your while to watch that on YouTube. Just type in Zig Ziglar Born to Win, and you'll find it. All right, time management. Here's what I'm going to do. And hopefully you can see this. First, we're going to talk about if you really do want to. My mother used to say, if you want to, you will, or you can. You just got to have the want to. And I want to speak a little bit on that. The second thing is planning your time. And the third thing there is time your plan and then take action. Planning your time and timing your plan. I actually picked that up from one of your previous training evolutions there. I forget who it was that talked about that, but I figured that was a good way to segue time management into this training series. So the question about, do you really want to? Do you really want to be a director? Do you want to be a star director? Do you want to be a superstar director? You can if you want to. Planning your time. We're going to talk about the long-term and the short-term plans for planning your time and why it's important. And then timing your plan is, for example, I'm going to use examples from all previous four speakers to tie everything in. And in timing your plan, if you remember, I believe it was Jenna who talked about setting up the time to actually maximize your first 15 days to make sure that the person that you sponsor meets the shooting star goal. So there's a lot about timing your plan as there is about planning your time. And then most important is once you've done all that, to take action. In Zig Ziglar's video, if you looked at it, he says you can plan to win, you can prepare to win, but only if you do those two can you expect to win. And so in building your business, you have to do the planning and you have to do the preparing in order to win. Is it tedious? Yeah, it's a tedious thing, but it's a necessary thing. There's no matter what career or position or job or area that you go into. Oh, I was just told not to forget to introduce myself. I apologize. of course, my name is Mike Harris. I am married to the awesome Lisa Harris that everyone knows and loves. And it has been my fortune to be by her side during her Cincy journey. And I am just thrilled that she's doing it. I support her in every way. And I believe that she has set her sights on winning. And, of course, I want to do everything to make sure that she does, because when she wins, I win. So a quick background on me, which is really not applicable to Cincy except the experience that I've had, is I'm a 20-year submarine veteran. I've been with the federal government now for 13 years, 14 years, something like that. And I've also done a 3-year stint as a corporate recruiter. A lot of the stuff that I see in Cincy, I actually learned as a corporate recruiter from a sales aspect. And it's encouraging to see that some of the stuff is, while it's repetitive, it's also new and exciting. So that's my introduction. I apologize I didn't do that up front, but she's right. Well, let's get right into it. The first part, why do you want to be a Cincy consultant? Now, what I'm going to say here sounds kind of corny, but it's true. And that is, you have to do soul searching. Each one of these other ladies talked about your why. And if you remember, whenever you first signed up to be a consultant for Cincy, when you get down to the brass tacks and the fundamentals, that's your why. What excited you about Cincy? Can anybody remember the Cincy motto? Right? Enlivening the senses, warming the heart, and inspiring the soul. Those three things, in each one has a deep meaning. When Orville and Heidi started Cincy and they came up with this motto, it wasn't just something to throw down on a piece of paper and say, we're going to use this to build our business. They believe those three things, because when you do enliven the senses, and they started with the warmers, right? So it's a sense of smell. You realize that triggers memories. And most of those memories are good, because people don't like to remember the bad. But the good memories come to light, whether it's grandma's apple pie or, the mystery man scent that a lot of the ladies like. Whatever the scent is, it triggers a memory, and most of those are good memories, and that warms the heart. And whenever you warm the heart, that in and of itself inspires the soul and gets you excited and gets you motivated toward whatever it is that you're doing. So enlivening the senses, warming the heart, and inspiring the soul are very powerful. And the reason I'm focusing on that right now is because this is your why. And your why is what made you want to be a Cincy consultant. And it's important to start with that foundation and to realize that if you really want to, you will. If you really want to, you will stop with generalities, and you'll make specific, concrete goals that are measurable. If you really want to, you will get outside of your comfort zone. If you really want to, you will take risks. If you really want to, you will invest the time and the money to make it successful. If you really want to, you will learn new things. You will research materials to help you grow your business. You will brand yourself. I think it was Jill was talking about branding. Absolutely. When Jill was talking about that, I threw something out at Lisa, and it's a love, star, do, star, share. Because Lisa's motto for her business is love what you do and share it with the world. And she has a passion for that. She sincerely believes that in anything and everything that she does. And I think anyone who has any interaction with Lisa would agree with that statement. But you have to understand your why. You have to believe. You have to do the soul searching, and because that's what you're going to come back to in your hour of, I really don't want to do this, or I'm just so tired of doing this, or I think I can get by, or skirt around this particular topic or whatever. Time management is one of those. Nobody likes doing it, but we're gonna show you hopefully a method that once you get through it, it's going to become so routine and so easy to do that you won't even think about it. But you have to have the want to. You have to know your why. Understand that from the get-go, and we will be fine. All right. So planning your time. This is the meat of it. Let's see here. I forgot to show my sheet, and that's when you decided to join Cincy. Why did you want to join? If you want to, you will. I got to move something on my phone here. There we go. Okay. All right, planning your time. This is the nuts and bolts of it that everybody has a challenge with. So let's get into it. It's really not hard to do, to plan your time, but the challenge comes because it becomes tedious. And I'm going to show you a way that it doesn't have to be tedious, except for that first part. The director here at this FEMA center used a phrase that I really liked, and it certainly applies to this particular area of time management. Planning your time. He says, we go into FEMA. What FEMA does when they go into a disaster is they have a method of storming, norming, and informing. Now, what does that mean? All right, well, storming involves the initial setup. One, assessing where you're at, what you have as far as resources, what your skill set is, what your capabilities are, taking the initial steps to get going, and so on and so forth. That's the storming part of it, is taking all that stuff and putting it together. And then once you put it together, the norming is developing from all that information into a routine that it just becomes you've put everything together with the storming, and now you need to transition from that, because once you put everything together, you know it never comes out as you plan. So as you actually start to implement it, there'll be transition and modifications and revisions and that kind of stuff that needs to be done to I guess smooth things out and to where things. And then the last part, informing, is that's when you get to enjoy your business. Now that you have everything set, you can enjoy informing your customers of what's coming up and informing about your customers about parties that you have going, new products, and that kind of thing. So let's get into the storming part. All right, ladies. This is the challenge. You have the tools. You either have a calendar, you have a planner, you have your iPhone, you have your Facebook, there's so many different tools out there that you can use. But what I recommend, and I'll tell you why I recommend it, is that you start big and go small. The Army, I think, calls it reverse planning. And what I mean by big is you start with a year. Here's the reason I say start with a year. That's a year includes every season. It includes every special event or activity that you can plan to use to promote your business, and then it's just a cycle that starts to repeat itself. So if you can plan a year, and it's not going to be hard, I promise, it's not going to be hard. If you can plan a year, then that's the storming part, is getting all that stuff down, and then you can start the transition into norming and developing, the short term. The short term I refer to is the quarterly or the monthly or the weekly plans that you have to maximize your business. And then the informing, that will just come naturally as you go through and repeat year after year. We've been in it for 6 years now, and we're relatively into the informing stage. We do have to adjust fire, based on things like the hurricane that just happened. And I'm going to digress here and talk to you about the want to. When the hurricane first happened, Lisa called me, and she asked what we should do, or what she should do about the destination director. And because obviously Camden County was hit where we live, and it was hit pretty hard. Fortunately enough, we were blessed not to have any damage. Just the fish swam out of my pond into my neighbor's pond. That's not cool. But anyways, but she called me and asked me about that, and I said, well, I think people understand that, acts of God like that can impact the ability to deliver on something like our program here. But you know what? She soldiered forward. She had the want to continue to do the Destination Director program, and we didn't hold it up. We moved on and went through it. Another example is me here in giving this presentation from Nevada, or Nevada, however they pronounce it. I'd have to ask Sharon Villeneuve. But anyways, you can do anything that you want to do. You just got to have to want to. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. The calendar, long-term, 1 year. All seasons, it covers both catalogs and all the products that you have, and then it repeats. And then the short-term, quarterly, monthly, and weekly. Let's start with the annual. The annual, if you break out a calendar, or you don't have to break out a calendar, you can make a sheet for each month of the year that you want. And what I challenge you to do is write down all holidays, all special events, including your anniversaries, your birthdays, your vacation, Cincy, for Cincy, your SFR, the leadership, the incentive trips, the world tours, everything that you can think of that would happen in the year. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, everything. Just write it down for the month that you have. Paydays. And I know that probably raised an eyebrow too. Paydays is important to throw in there. Why? Because when you are making your plan and you're wanting to schedule an event, such as a festival or whatever, you have to know that you can pay for that event. So you have to include your budget and your payday in there so that you can adjust fire where you need to. This month I may not have that much left over because I know I have to buy more products or more supplies. But I know that next month that I won't need that much, so I can adjust fire with my budget that way. Those are the kind of things I'm talking about. So take your annual calendar, and what you're going to find is as you write down the stuff for each month, if you don't use a calendar, what you'll actually need to do is, once you have everything written down for each month, is apply that to a calendar, because that's going to show your available dates for any parties or for any traveling, those kind of things that you need to do. So start with a year and look at the big picture. This is the storming, all right? And this is going to take some time, but again, if you want to, you will invest the time to do the planning and the preparing so that you can have the expectation to win. All right. Now, once you have the annual calendar, take that first 3 months and work it through the quarter and look at the big picture quarter. And again, you can adjust fire for where those things are. For instance, in January, February, March, you have leadership, you have New Year's, we have several birthdays on our calendar, and we have Lisa's parents goes to Mexico every February, but we have World Tour in February. March, I forget what happens in March, but we lay it out. I don't have all that stuff in front of me. We lay it out there in front of us, and we look at it. Actually, Lisa and I have a year and a half laid out on a table at the house. But you can see where your gaps are, where your holes are. And with that, you can start to nail down the routine dates, and you can work in available dates for sponsoring parties. And you'll also be more well-versed whenever you're talking with someone on the phone or at an event or wherever. You'll have that in your head so that you know, or you'll have it, in your planner so that you know what available dates are or what dates are available to you to help someone host a party if they want you to attend or whatever. But anyways, and then you break it down to the monthly. And once you start getting down to the nitty-gritty, then you can start scheduling your follow-ups, like Tiffany showed you in the follow-up how she does her monthly folders for follow-ups. And you can actually schedule your time into that month. When you get down to the weekly, you can schedule it into the day. Now, you don't have to schedule in detail every week from the get-go. Please don't do that. That would drive anybody insane. Unless you're a corporation that has to know week by week and has the resources to plan that stuff, then you don't need to do that. Plan big picture. Start with go to a smaller picture, and then a smaller one, and down to the weekly. And what you can do is you can have that monthly calendar right there in front of you, so that when you sit down on Sunday or Monday or whatever day you choose, you can look at the whole week ahead of you, and you can know in detail what it is that you have coming up. And that's when that's the storming part, is the annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly. And you don't have to plan the next week from that. You already have big picture what's going to happen. You plan next week, and then at the end of that week, you plan the next week, and so on and so forth in detail. Now, what does that buy you? Well, that's going to make you more efficient in using your time. It's going to make you more effective because you're going to have that information. You're going to be knowledgeable of that information rather than saying, well, I'm not sure what I have, the next week. If you're sitting down and someone asks you, what do you have going this week, or what are you doing today? You're like, well, and you hesitate, and you have to mumble jumble, or you have to look up. You haven't done your homework. You haven't prepared to maximize the efficiency of your business. So I'm going to recommend that you do that. And then once you do that, you can go into the norming phase. You've done the storming. You can go into the norming, and for that year, you march through it, and you're already going to have routine set, and be able to articulate and maximize the efficiency of your business. All right. And once you've done that, the next year is going to be a lot easier because you already have a template. Now you have a template. You don't have to do all that stuff again. You already have a template to do it with, and all you got to do is change it to the next year. You'll have to shift a few dates based on the holiday changes by a day or whatever here or there. But you shift it, and now you're clicking. You're clicking into a routine, and all you have to do is keep up with the new products that are coming along, and the new times for the new events, the SFRs and those incentives. And now you can utilize the time that you are now saving. Now you saved a lot of time because you have a template to work from, and you can use that to time your plan. And so we'll get into the time your plan. All right. What we didn't talk about is the definition of time management. And to me, that stuff's boring, but it's true. It makes you more productive and more efficient. In the end, it will actually bring you less stress because you'll be aware of what's going on, and it'll increase your opportunities for being able to sponsor and to host parties and to achieve what it is that you want to achieve out of life. All right. That's planning your time. Now, timing your plan. I'm going to use examples out of every single one of the previous speakers. Jenna Plott said, maximize your new sponsors' first 15 days for Shooting Star. Tiffany's follow-up binder system. That's a fantastic time management tool that will help you, again, maximize the efficiency of your business and not lose a customer. Building relationships. Jill McCarthy, she talked about on Sundays is when she does her Pinterest post for the week. She gets them all ready, and then over the week, she times when she's going to do it. That's time management. It's things that you don't think about as time management. That's what it is. Every one of the ladies talked about building relationships. Magali talked about follow-up and setting a time in your planner or on your phone or whatever. The networking and building relationships. Build a relationship before you try to recruit someone or before you try to start someone. That's time management. You're building time into relationship building. All of those things matter. And if you know your customers, then you will know their idiosyncrasies and when to present a new product or when to ask if they would be interested in being a consultant. So there's not much that I could say about timing your plan, except that you have to tailor it to your customers and to your events. Fundraisers, you need to time the fundraisers for when a particular, like Lisa does the buddy drive every year. And that's a time that she asks people to buy a buddy and donate it toward our first responders in our community, so that they can use that to help a child that's in a crisis situation and help calm them down, and that kind of stuff. And there's certain times of the years that our first responders do that kind of thing. So she times it so that her buddy drives matches that. Again, you can do the same thing with the hurricane victims. Time your plan. With the hurricanes that just happened, was it 3 in a row now, and maybe a 4th one coming, maybe. Then you can look at ways to leverage those things to help your community. One of the things I like about Cincy is that Lisa is able to be more involved in the community, and if you give back to the community, it's going to give back to you, and that's a good use of her time. It seems like maybe she's ignoring her business. That's not so. When you're giving back to your community, the people in the community will recognize you and will respect you for the values that you have, and they're more inclined to do business with you. Any businessman or business person or businesswoman will tell you that. So time your interactions with individuals and with groups is just as important as planning your time. So, but you can't time your plan until you plan your time. So I encourage you to do that. All right, I don't even know how I'm doing on time. All right, I'm good. I'm actually probably going to get done early. Taking action. Once you have done the storming, norming, and informing, and then timing your plan, you take all that and you put it in motion, because all the plans in the world are useless if they're just down on paper or if they're in your phone or whatever and you don't take any action on them. The key part to taking action is to remember your want to. Why did I want to join Cincy in the first place? What first inspired me to join? And revert back to that. And whenever I encourage you to do that before you actually map out your plan of attack. And what I mean by plan of attack is you need to be proactive and assertive without being aggressive. I think it was Magali said, she's always thinking sponsoring now. No matter who she's talking to, she's looking for a way to build a relationship with the individual to find out what triggers them. And what way she can provide the opportunity. And she even mentioned that sometimes she hated doing that because she felt she was imposing on someone or something like that. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she was hesitant she didn't want to bother people with trying to recruit them or sponsor them. Let me tell you something, ladies. You're not bothering anybody. You're providing an opportunity for them to have the same excitement that you're having, to be inspired the same way that you are. And who wouldn't want that? So, yeah, map out a plan of attack and be proactive and be assertive. And you can do that without being aggressive. But anybody who has been successful in a business or a sport or whatever has not been successful like they are by being shy or by believing that what they presenting to someone is going to bother them or upset them or is something that would be something they wouldn't be interested in. Believe in your business. And once you've mapped out a plan of attack, execute. Execute. Get out there, again, take risks, get out of your comfort zone, and recruit, sponsor, and present the opportunity for others to enjoy as much as you're enjoying it. Now, that being said, even the best laid plans and even the timing of plans don't always work out. Any general in the military will tell you that. Any coach from a football team will tell you that. And so what you have with a plan is a map. And sometimes if you run into an obstacle on that map, you have to route around it and you have to improvise. So don't be afraid to improvise. After you execute the plan and you run into an obstacle, don't be a naysayer and say, well, I can't do it because of this. Find another way. If you want to, you will. Find another way. Improvise for the unforeseen obstacles that come up. And do not stop. Continue to improvise until you have executed and completed your plan. But that's not all. Even after you've completed your plan, you need to follow up. Do what Tiffany said. Follow up with whoever it is that you have talked to, has shown an interest, or even if they haven't shown an interest, follow up, because you never know. Different events happen in different people's lives to trigger them to think about things in a different way. And then after you follow up, repeat. So you map it out, you execute, you improvise, you complete it, you follow up, and then you repeat. And you keep doing that. That is going to be a formula for success. The foundation is the plan. The formula is the action. And you have to take action. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. You have to have the want to. Do you really want to? What inspired you to want to do Scentsy? Enlivening the senses, warming the heart, inspiring the soul. You have to remember that. And I would encourage you to take each one of those and figure out what each one of those means to you. Do soul searching. It's not corny. It's not dorky. It's imperative that you do that. All right. And then plan your time. Storming, Norman, and informing. Hope you can see that. Storming, Norman, and informing. Putting that plan together. And then timing your plan. Overcoming personal challenges with your schedule, building relationships, and community involvement. I can't stress enough community involvement. You want to talk about networking or going to an event and finding people. You start getting involved in your community, you are going to network like you never have before, and you're going to have contacts and people like you never have before. Lisa and I always try to find ways to be involved in the community. And that does two things. It helps build your business, but it also it helps others. And really, that's what it's all about. As Zig Ziglar would say, you can get what you want out of life if you just help enough other people get what they want out of life. So, and you do that by taking action. You map out a plan, execute it, improvise it, complete it, follow up, and repeat. The last words I'll say as far as the presentation. This is a business, ladies. Treat it like one. It's not something that you can say, well, that's something that I do as a side thing, or I do as a hobby. You're here in Destination Director for a reason, and you need to take it serious. If you really want to be successful, if you really want to be a director, if you really want to be a star director, if you really want to be a superstar director, you will do the things that it takes to do that. Research it. I fall back on Zig Ziglar all the time, and I can't recommend him enough. But there's a number of motivational speakers out there that can motivate you to do that. But the biggest motivation that can come from inside yourself is knowing why you want to. But you have to want to. Time management, that's a tool. That's a tool to be able to accomplish the things that you want to. but you got to have the want to, or all of that other stuff just doesn't matter. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyways, all right, Lisa, do we have any questions? I know I've fallen short of time here, but
Yeah, we're done super early. I don't see any questions in the chat box, but I'll give everyone a minute to post any questions that they have about the time management process that you shared with everyone. And while I'm waiting for that, did you want to share with them what their homework assignments are going to be for this week?
well, yeah, that's a good idea, huh? The homework that I have is, and you're going to hate me for it, but I want you to write down a plan, an annual plan. All right, I want to ask you to do it all at once here, as far as the quarterly, the monthly, and the weekly. But the basis for any of that is going to be able to get that annual plan down, and it's not that hard. It really isn't. Once you actually sit down and do it, you're probably going to do more than I ask you to do. But write down the plan for a year, and it doesn't have to be from this month forward. It can be January to December, but get that template down for the year. That's your homework. It's not magic, ladies. It's not magic, but it can result in miracles. You'll be surprised if you write that stuff down and you do that. And forgive yourself if you have to improvise on that. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me give you an example of time management that Lisa is personal to Lisa and I. Everyone knows that she recently had back surgery. And it was major back surgery, and we had some complications, and it actually took about 3 months to work all those complications out. That being said, though, we knew that surgery was coming up. We had it on the calendar. We had the dates, although we had to change that a couple of times. One of the times was because of another hurricane. But anyways, we had it on the calendar, and even with the complications that we had with the weather and whatnot, we were able to improvise and change and adapt to those plans. And what she did is she planned ahead for her to make her PRV. She called and set up pouch parties and home parties and everything. And even though we had those complications for 3 months, Lisa was able not only to achieve her goal of her PRV, but she was able to achieve the incentive trip, not only for herself, but for both of us. So time management works. You just got to work it. Again, none of this will happen if you don't know your business and if you don't use the tools. It's a business. Treat it like one. Design it, prioritize, and execute. All right. I'm sorry that I'm not as inspiring or intriguing as the rest of the ladies. I'm following hard acts here.
Actually, they are very hard acts to follow. So I still don't see any questions. So I think everyone's good. A couple of things. So when you guys get done with your homework assignment, mapping out the next year, be sure that you snap a picture of it and you post it on the event page for week 6 on Destination Director, because we are going to hold you accountable. Don't forget to tag your director, because they're going to follow up to make sure that you guys are doing those assignments. And please make sure that it's completed by Monday. And before we make sure that there aren't any other questions, I want to just share with you guys really quickly why I actually chose Mike to do this training. Maybe if you look at Mike. Because I was getting some feedback. So let me explain really quick why I asked him to do this. Is we both do this Scentsy business together. We both have our strengths, and then we have areas of business where we're not as strong. And he is able to bring to the table things that I am not strong with. I'm great at getting out there and selling. I am great at booking parties. I'm great now at sponsoring because he kind of got me out of my shell a little bit and helped me work on that. But the time management piece has never been my strong suit. So he's always kind of pushing me to make sure that I'm scheduling things and mapping out and planning my business so that we are successful. And that just happens to be where his strength lies. So I thought that it would be helpful to all of you that he share with you all what he does for us. And it's not a fun and exciting topic like sponsoring or parties, but it's necessary and it's important that you have these skills if you want to continue growing and building your business and becoming director. But I still don't see any questions, Mike. I'm going to unmute you again. Oops, there we go. Well,
time management is a boring topic, and it's a challenge to present in an offbeat way, like you said, the other topics. Put that on top of me being a man. A man is just methodical and goes through things, and so it is a necessary topic, and it doesn't have to be boring. And I think once use art on your calendar, make it pretty. Use different colors and whatnot. But like you said, it is necessary. You can go along and wing it and still be relatively successful in the business. But if you want to be that all-star, if you want to be that star director, that superstar director, you got to manage your time. There you have it. The hardware of it. So please take the time to do that. I think you'll find really good dividends in doing so.
Well, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you taking time. Well, you're away from home. For those of you that don't know, he's been gone for about a month or more.
3 more days.
Yep, 3 more days. Working for FEMA, and so I know it was challenging juggling your time to make sure that this happened on time, so I appreciate it. You guys make sure you get that homework done. We only have just a few more weeks left in Destination Director, and we will see you guys on the event page. All right, y'all have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.